Hello and welcome to this PowerPoint on the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system is vital for everyday life as well as sport. The CV system allows blood to be pumped around the body and for oxygen to reach all necessary organs and muscles. When at rest, the heart rate for the average person is around 70 to 72 beats per minute, and each beat causes 60 to 80 millilitres of blood to be pumped. Therefore, due to the equation cardiac output equals stroke volume times heart rate, the average output can be calculated at 5 litres per minute. However, when doing sport, more blood is pumped around the body as the oxygen demand is greater. The average cardiac output during sport is 20 to 30 litres per minute. This is different for a trained athlete and can be up to 40 litres per minute. The cardiovascular system is a large network that connects all parts of the body via arteries, veins, arterioles, venules and capillaries. This system allows the transportation of nutrients such as glucose, amino acids and fatty acids to the areas needed. The cardiovascular system works alongside the respiratory system to transport oxygen throughout the body and remove carbon dioxide. It is essential that muscles receive this oxygen in order to function. In sport, there is only so long that muscles can work anaerobically before oxygen needs to kick in for them to function. Additionally, oxygen is essential in the recovery process as it restores ATP levels to what they were before used in the sport. Blood contains platelets, which cause the clotting of blood. Platelets attach to foreign objects such as the edge of cuts. Attached to foreign objects or objects such as the edge of cuts. This also prevents continuous bleeding, and without them, any bleeding or cut would be fatal. However, these occur in small amounts, and if the level of these are too high, then this can cause unnecessary blood clotting, which can lead to heart attacks and strokes. The CV system protects us from infection, as blood contains white blood cells which combat pathogens and fight infection. When white blood cells detect an unfamiliar cell or infection, then they create antibodies which kill the bacteria. This is important in sport so we don't get ill. Hormones are also transported by the cardiovascular system to their target organs, and waste products are transported to the lungs. Hormones are also transported by the cardiovascular system to their target organs. This is important in sport, as it allows the fight or flight mechanism in our bodies, and also allows adrenaline to be pumped through our bodies, which helps us perform better in different sports. Finally, the average core temperature of the human body is 37 degrees. However, it can safely range between 36.1 and 37.8. If this temperature drops or rises, this can be life-threatening. When a change does occur, it causes certain mechanisms to act which maintain this temperature. This is called thermoregulation. Different mechanisms of this include sweat glands, which allow heat loss through evaporation, and smooth muscle tissue around arterioles which relax, causing vasodilation, which increases blood flow to skin and allows cooling. Both of these are used as cooling mechanisms. However, also skeletal muscles contract quickly to cause shivering to warm the body up, and glands which release hormones different glands also release hormones which speed up the metabolic rate and release heat, and these are both useful when our temperature drops. The cardiovascular system involves two main closed circuits, the pulmonary circuit and the systemic circuit. The pulmonary circuit carries blood that contains large amounts of carbon dioxide from the heart to the lungs via the pulmonary artery, and back to the heart again once it has undergone gas exchange and becomes oxygen-rich again, and this is done by the pulmonary vein. The systemic circuit transports oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the rest of the body through the aorta, and this blood then undergoes gas exchange again in the muscles and major organs, and the oxygen is used up and replaced by waste products such as carbon dioxide and transported back to the heart again via the vena cava. As blood travels from the aorta to the body, or the muscular system, it reaches smaller arteries called arterioles that connect arteries to capillaries. Capillaries in the lungs and pulmonary system are pulmonary capillaries, and ones in the body and systemic system are systemic capillaries. Once it reaches the capillaries, these are only 1 cell thick, which allow for easy diffusion and gas exchange to the muscles. They also have a small diameter to slow the rate of flow to allow for more diffusion to occur. It is then transported via the venules and back to the veins again, as you can see on this image. It goes from the arteries to the arterioles, through the capillaries, out again via the venule and the vein. The heart attacks as a dual pump, as the first pump carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart again once it is oxygenated, and the second pump carries oxygenated blood around the body to the organs and back to the heart again once gas exchange has occurred and the blood has become deoxygenated. This allows us to breathe in everyday life and allows more blood and oxygen to be pumped around the body in sport. The structure of the heart allows it to fulfill this function. The heart consists of 4 chambers. The top 2 are called atria and the bottom 2 are called ventricles. It is also split into left and right side due to the septum. When deoxygenated blood reaches the heart, it enters the right atrium and then goes to the right ventricle via the bicuspid valve. During this, the bicuspid valve shuts, which means no blood can flow when it comes to ventricular systole and the contraction of the ventricles. During contraction, all the blood flows up and out of the heart via the pulmonary valve, if in the right side of the heart, and the deoxygenated blood. On the other hand, when oxygenated blood reaches the heart, it enters the left atrium and goes to the left ventricle via the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve. When travelling from the right atrium to the right ventricle, it goes to the tricuspid valve, and when travelling from the left atrium to the left ventricle, it goes through the bicuspid valve. Both of these valves shut when ventricular systole occurs, so no blood flows the wrong way. Additionally, papillary muscles are also located in the ventricles of the heart and attached to the valves via chordae tendineae, which is made of 80% collagen, and these help prevent the backflow of blood. Finally, the heart wall consists of 3 distinct layers: the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. The epicardium covers the heart's outer surface. The myocardium, which is the cardiac muscle and the thickest layer of the heart, is in the middle, and finally the endocardium lines the inside of the heart. Additionally, there is the pericardium layer on the outside, which consists of 2 other different layers, the parietal pericardium and the visceral pericardium, and is filled in the middle between these 2 layers by the pericardial fluid. Next, there are key components in the conduction system. Firstly, the sinoatrial node, or the SA node, is the heart's natural pacemaker and dictates the rate at which your heart beats. This can be affected by a number of external factors such as exercise. For example, when you're undergoing exercise, more blood needs to be pumped around your body, so your SA node needs to react to this. The SA node is a cluster of cells located on the upper part of the right atrium, and the electrical impulses are generated there. The atrioventricular node, or the AV node, acts as an electrical relay station and delays the impulse sent from the SA node to make sure all the blood is contracted from the atria to the ventricles. Next, the main function of the bundle of His is to carry the impulse from the AV node to the ventricles of the heart. Bundle branches come off this and are also essential to carrying the impulse from the AV node to the ventricles. Finally, the Purkinje fibres are located in the bottom of the heart, in the ventricles, and their function is to send impulses to the cells of the ventricles of the heart so they can contract and force blood upwards. Some of these key components are displayed here, such as the SA node, bundle of His, and the AV node. The cardiac cycle refers to one complete heartbeat, which includes systole, diastole, and the slight pause between beats. Systole is the contraction phase of the heartbeat, and the diastole is the relaxation phase of the heartbeat. One heartbeat means that the whole cardiac cycle has occurred. This cycle involves the contraction and relaxation. The heart consists of 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles. At the start of the cycle, the 2 chambers the top 2 chambers, which are atria, are filled due to passive filling, and the heart is in its diastole or relaxation phase. This is called atrial diastole. Once the top 2 chambers are filled, this produces pressure, and eventually 70% of the blood is forced into the bottom 2 chambers, which are the ventricles, via passive filling, as there is no contraction. In this process, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are separated by the septum, and the oxygenated blood fills the left atria to start with before being passed down to the left ventricle, and the deoxygenated blood fills the right atria and moves into the right ventricle. Once 70% has been filled, and 30% is still left in the top 2 chambers, this causes an electrical signal to be sent from the SA node and spreads across the heart before it reaches the AV node. This causes atrial systole, which is a contraction of the top 2 chambers, and forces the remaining blood in the atria to be forced to the ventricles, which is in its ventricular diastole phase, which means the ventricles are relaxed. This process is called active filling due to the contraction. Once this has occurred, then the blood needs to be forced upwards, so the bicuspid valve, which is the valve between the left atria and the left ventricle, and the tricuspid valve, which is between the right atria and right ventricle, are tightly shut, so no blood can be forced back from where it came from, which would be the wrong way. The oxygenated blood is forced up and is sent to the rest of the body through the aorta, and the deoxygenated blood is forced up towards the lungs via the pulmonary artery, where it will undergo gas exchange and become oxygenated. This is done due to an electrical signal being passed from the AV node through the bundle branches and into the Purkinje fibers, which causes the ventricles to contract and then the blood to be forced up and out of the heart where it needs to be. The process of the blood being forced upwards is called ventricular systole. The whole cardiac cycle lasts about 0.8 seconds and is in its diastole phase, where blood travels from the atrium to the ventricles for 0.5 seconds. The systole phase, where blood travels from ventricles and out of the heart, lasts 0.3 seconds. The SA node is the body's natural pacemaker and controls the heart rate as demand changes. The medulla oblongata is the cardiac control center and controls the heart. It is part of the autonomic nervous system. As exercise increases, an impulse travels from the cardiac control center down the sympathetic nervous system along an accelerator nerve, which causes norepinephrine, which is a neurotransmitter, to be released, which increases the heart rate. As exercise decreases, meaning not as much blood has to be circulated, an impulse travels down the parasympathetic nervous system, down the vagus nerve, which causes acetylcholine to be released, which reduces heart rate. These are both mechanisms which are a direct way of controlling heart rate. Alternatively, heart rate can be controlled by hormones. Adrenaline is released from the adrenal glands, which is released into the bloodstream and travels to the heart. This is all part of the fight or flight response in your body. The main function of blood vessels is to transport blood around the body. Blood vessels also have a role in controlling blood pressure and are found throughout the body. They are split into 5 main types: arteries, veins, arterioles, venules, and capillaries. Blood has many components in order to fulfill its functions. Plasma makes up 55% of blood content and is the least dense component of blood, hence why it rises to the top when separated. Furthermore, 90% of plasma consists of water. When an individual is dehydrated, their blood increases in viscosity, so it's harder for your heart to pump blood around your body, leading to increased strain on the heart. 8% of plasma plasma is made up of proteins such as albumin antibodies, which are part of the white blood